You're learning how to manifest and how to call in abundance. Well, lucky for you, today that's what we're talking about. But more specifically, we're talking about our limiting beliefs that can sometimes stand in the way of what you're trying to call in. Don't get discouraged. I know it sounds like a scary term, but everybody has them. We all have some kind of belief system that can limit us, and that's okay. Learning about how they show up and our patterns and how we can release them. If you don't know what they are, you can't really let them go. And it's really important to let them go so that you can receive everything you're trying to call in. Welcome back. This is Clarity Through Chaos. I'm Fiona Hardwick. This channel is all about helping you transform your relationships. Most importantly, the relationship you have with yourself so that you can create the life you want. Limiting beliefs are kind of my favorite thing. And I don't know why. I think it's because I like to push back. I like to ask the question why. I like to dig in deep and find out the root of what the belief is. I think the two places that limiting beliefs show up the most in my experience is around love and around money. Interestingly enough, like we're not going to dive too deep into this today. They're kind of intertwined. It's all about receiving, right? Love is as much giving as it is receiving, and the same thing with money. Sometimes these things show up in our awareness so often it's like we're not even realizing the thoughts that are being drilled into our head from forever. I mean, think about all the sayings that are like, love is hard work, money doesn't grow on trees, money is the root of all evil. All of those things are subconscious beliefs that we have in our life. I'm sure there are more sayings like that that you've heard of. They also may be things that you've experienced, and vice versa. They may be things that you've experienced and also believe because you've had that experience, and that's kind of the interesting part, right? Our beliefs and our experiences are kind of tied together. We know how powerful the mind is, so we know that if you're believing something, that's most likely what's going to show up in your awareness, right? I'm sure everyone who's watching this has heard about The Secret and how, the whole idea and why we're even called to manifest is this possibility. It's like this idea of you can literally call in what you want. And I find that to be really true, but I also know that sometimes just simply thinking it isn't enough. Right? We got to put some action behind that. And that's where our limiting beliefs come into play. Because if you want to call in a beautiful beach house in the most perfect location and it's all, in alignment with everything you're trying to do, but you don't actually have the belief in your subconscious that that can be a reality for you, the chances of you calling it in could be a lot more challenging. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it's going to take you a little bit longer. I love experiences. So I'm going to share a little story about myself. Growing up, I had a parent who was very fear-based relationship with money. Okay. It was always like, oh, anytime it was time to spend money, there was a fear that that money was never going to come back. Giving it to somebody, that money's never coming back. Literally, if I had to ask for money, I was after begging and fighting for it, and then I had to like pry it out of their hand to get the money. Whether you like it or not, it affects you. Even if that belief doesn't really align with what you believe to be true. That didn't really work for me. I didn't agree that that's how money was to be played with in our lifetime, but it didn't mean that that belief just kind of went away. A lot of times we're embarrassed, okay? We can be embarrassed of our past, of our upbringing, of our previous beliefs. I don't really find that to be helpful, okay? It's all just part of the journey. We are where we are, and that's fine. We just got to keep moving forward. So I want to tell you guys that I'm a big fan of looking at things from different perspectives, and I'm going to ask that of you guys from time to time. In this instance, we're going to go back to my previous story about how I grew up in my relationships that I saw around me of people and their money. I started to really question what I knew to be true versus my experience. You know what I'm saying? So I was looking and asking things like, do I really believe that once you spend money, it never comes back? Do I really believe that I have to work so hard in order to get this money? And the answer was no. I didn't really believe that. I didn't believe these things to be true, but at the same time, I was still really stressed around money. Oh my God, is there going to be enough? Am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to do that? Like there was so much fear and restriction and scarcity around the idea of money, calling it in, having it, whatever the case is. As I started to dig in deep through there, like I realized before I had gotten divorced, I never really thought about it. I just was going through the motions. I was working, I was making money, like it was whatever. Then I realized after I got divorced, it became such a place of stress, right? I had this new responsibility that I had to support myself and my children by myself. I didn't get alimony, I didn't get anything like that, child support or anything like that. So it was all on me. It was all on my shoulders. It was heavy. And that was really an important thing for me to realize, because I realized there was fear there. So underneath it all, that blanket feeling was fear. You know, it's scary to realize like, oh, I'm so afraid, but it's also powerful because now you know what to work with. You know that there's a fear there, a fear of running out, not having enough, not being able to provide. Like, it goes deep, okay? But that fear there is for a reason. At the time, it was keeping me safe to be in that fear, right? I kept working, I kept pushing through. I did what I had to do to support my family. I mean, at one point, I was working like 4 jobs on top of being a mom, on top of planning a wedding, like I was getting remarried, I had a new partner, like all of these things, and I was just stressed beyond belief. I literally couldn't take one more thing. I never would rest. My idea of resting was laying down while I read a book or studied for a course or did something productive. There was no such thing as taking a day off. That was no way to live a life. I couldn't keep up. I was miserable. It was affecting my relationships. It was affecting my health, like all of it. I was just crumbling. My life looks so different now than it did then. And thank God, because there would have been no way that I could have kept up at that pace. I mean, I was just miserable. It's not always easy to recognize the fears that we have. We're just going through the motions and going through the motions. And then one day we wake up and we're like, wait a second, these motions aren't working for me. And it's really important to dive in deep to realize what is the underlying feeling behind that, or where that belief came from. Like I shared with you, my story was like I very clearly knew where my belief came from around money. So it was a little easier for me to kind of uproot it and release it. And sometimes it can be simple. Sometimes it'd be simple as acknowledging, oh, this belief is there. Oh, I don't believe that to be true. Gone. Other times we need a little more work around it, and that's totally okay. You know, some other ways that you can kind of work through, either to find what the root is or to release it, could be journaling. We could meditate, hypnosis, working with a counselor or a therapist. Literally, there are so many different tools. There's no right or wrong way to deal with it. It's all about what works for you, the situation. Each situation is going to be different. Each person's going to be different. So this is where you're going to use your intuition a little bit. Kind of feel into, okay, I'm noticing that I have this pattern around money or around love. I mean, think about our relationships with different partners or our children. Like, oh, this keeps happening and it's really like I'm triggered. I'm getting really angry about this situation, but it keeps showing up and it keeps showing up. That's a clue, right? That's a clue. Dig in, find out what it is that your subconscious is trying to get you to move past, okay? Because if we're holding on to all these limiting beliefs, there's no room for new things to come in. It's like if you have a bookcase or a cup of water and it's filled to the brim and you add a little bit more water, it just overflows. There's no more room to add more. So if you're trying to call things in, but you're so blocked up with all these beliefs that just don't serve you anymore, it's time to move on. It's time to let them go. I want you to know that you do have the power to decide how you want your life to look like. You get to create it. You get to be the writer of your story. That all starts with knowing what is working for your life and what's not working. With our limiting beliefs, it's important to remember that they're there. If you're going to sit here and tell me that, oh, I don't have any limiting belief, I'm just simply not going to believe you. It's just human nature. We all have it. The important part is to know if they're serving you or if they're just holding you back from the life you actually want. Literally anything is possible, and maybe some things you can look for are like expanders, people doing things that you want to be doing, living the life that you want to live. You know, maybe there's somebody on Instagram that you're really drawn to and you're like, why am I so drawn to them? And maybe there's a piece of what they're doing that is calling to you, and you've been shutting it down thinking that you can't achieve that or you can't do that, but that's simply not true. It's just a matter of getting real with yourself and diving deep and learning about the thoughts in your mind that are holding you back. And if you've, been frustrated with manifesting lately and you're like, nothing's working, nothing I'm calling in is coming to fruition, this is probably where you need to do some work and some digging. And that's okay. It happens. There's nothing to be ashamed of or disappointed with. Like, just try and have fun with it. I know it's not a super light topic, and that's okay, because we tend to think that we need to be perfect or we need to get things on the first try. I mean, I'm a firstborn child, and I feel like if I don't get things on the first time, sometimes I'm just like, I'm just not going to do it. If it's not easy, I'm just not going to do it. But this is something that, we get to choose if it's easy or not. We get to choose how light or heavy it is. And we also have tools available to us. There's so many different things. I love astrology and human design and getting readings from people that help us see what we can't see ourselves. Like, it is totally okay to do that. So I'm giving you the green light. Go ahead, play around, implement, experiment, see what you can find out about yourself and how you can start to shift these beliefs so that you can really create the life you want. It's really within your power to do that. It is what we make it. And it's okay to laugh at yourself, and it's okay to say, oh, maybe that wasn't the best thought I had. And, let's not beat ourselves up over our thoughts. They are just that. They're just thoughts. They're not negative. They're not positive. They're just what you get to work with. So take it as a challenge, take it as a opportunity for growth and for change in a positive way in your life. That's it. All right, that's all I got for this time. I'm gonna see you guys next week. I'll be posting another video, so stay tuned for that. I'm wishing you all love and healing. We'll see you next time.